Namaste. I am Gloria Grace Rand, and so happy to be with you again for another edition of Live, Love, Engage, and especially when I get to talk with interesting and amazing people on the show. And today is no exception. I have delighted to welcome Dr. Barnsley Brown to Live, Love, Engage.
Thank you, Gloria. It's so wonderful to be here with your folks and just to share a powerful message with some strategies that people can implement. So
Mm.
excited.
Absolutely. Well, let me let folks know the few out there who may not have heard of you before. So we'll we'll enlighten them today. So Dr. Brown is a self-proclaimed steel magnolia in a long line of strong Southern women who taught at Wake Forest University, Duke, and UNC Chapel Hill before launching Spirited Solutions Professional Speaking and Coaching over 22 years ago. And she now helps big-hearted business owners double, triple, quadruple, or more their income and impact in her Make It Happen mastermind group coaching program, Get Results Now laser coaching, and transformational Reiki trainings. I was also almost going to say treatments, but well, it can kind of be that way a little bit. And for those of you who are listening to the podcast and you don't see, she also calls herself a kick-ass coach. So maybe I'll ask you about that in a little bit, but I always do like to start off talking about our guest background a little bit, and I thought we'd start with especially what led you to make the transition from speaking at teaching at universities to launching your own coaching company.
I love the question, Gloria, and it's a powerful question because actually, I would say that at the university I was about 75% satisfied. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the young people. It was mostly young people at the schools where I taught. And I enjoyed the scholarship, the reading, the publishing, the presenting. But the thing I didn't enjoy so much the things I didn't enjoy were the ways that women faculty were treated. For example, especially outspoken women faculty, of which I was one. I also didn't appreciate the way that the canons were formed to and I taught literature and women's studies, so I did not appreciate the fact that the writers I considered central were considered marginal. And
Hmm.
I just got to a point, really, I reached a point, Gloria, where I had been made what would have been the tenure-track professorship offer of my dreams. And on the very day I found out that the job and the guy were cheating on me,
Oh
let
no.
me just say, an abuse of power with the potential job and the guy as well. And I turned both down on the same day and started my own business. And that was August of the year 2000. I went and got my business registration, and I registered it because it's important what the birthday of your business is. And this is interesting. It was September 11th of the year 2000, 1 year before the Twin Towers came down. So that's how I started. And really, at that moment in my life, I'll be candid, I didn't really feel like I had anything else to lose, unless I had lost my mother and my brother and, all my family members. It was just really a moment where the thing that I had prepared for with 25 years of education, I found that it wasn't going to be the fit I wanted. And I wanted to be 95 to 98% happy in what I did. And I wanted to use all my skills. I didn't want to have to pigeonhole myself into one little scholarly rabbit hole. I was never good at that. Never good at that. That might surprise you, right? Never good at that. I always was interested in so many things. I still continue to be interested in so many things. And it just was not something that was going to work for me long term. So I made that decision. And I like to say, Gloria, I mean, I started out with $1,000. And here's what I say. I started out with $1,000 and a lot of boobs, not a lot of balls, because the balls didn't apply to me. And I had to make it happen. I had 4 mouths to feed. Granted, they were rescue animals, but I had 4 mouths to feed, and I was not married. I did not have a partner. I did not have a second income to fall back on. So
Mm,
what I wanna share with your listeners is really tried and true. It's proven. It's not airy-fairy, it's not theoretical. These are things that I did, that I had to be and do to have the success that I've had and to bring my business into over six-figure range, and you can do it too. Your listeners can do it too. But I wish I had known at that time in the 2000s, right? The early 2000s, what I know now.
mm. Can you share what specifically? Give an example of like
Oh
what
my
one thing
goodness.
would you?
I wish one of the biggest things I wish I had done relentlessly, even though it would have been a stretch, would be to get an amazing high-powered coach early
Mm,
on in my business
mm,
and to invest in that. Now, I did a lot of seminars. I went to a lot of seminars that were offered through the Small Business Center. They were free, they were paid with tax money. I participated in a launching program called Good Work that was local. It was good too, but nothing could replace a fantastic coach who made it to where I am now, right? I needed me then, the me I am
mm.
now then.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And so I got there, but it took a lot longer, and there were some big moments of failure and discouragement too, as is part of business, right? There's no buffer zone. We're not working for someone else, so we can't say, "Oh, well, that Gloria, she's so horrible." You can't really say that about yourself.
I know. Yeah, although but sometimes we do though, unfortunately.
I saw
But,
a really funny Facebook post, Gloria, that cracked me up. It said, my boss is a real asshole, only I'm self-employed."
yeah,
And I thought, "Mm, oh, that kinda hits home sometimes."
yeah, exactly. What was, one of the biggest challenges that you faced in making that transition?
Boy, I'll tell you, one of the biggest was the idea of a paycheck,
Mhm,
right? So if you've been working for someone else and you have that paycheck that arrives every other week or once a month, just the psychology of a paycheck that's coming in that's consistent, it was hard to release that.
mm,
And yet I did. And I will tell you that one of the things I did, Gloria, to soften the blow of moving from being full-time teaching to doing my business is I taught part-time. I taught English as a second language with adult learners. And I really enjoyed that. They were from all over the world: Japan, Korea, Mexico, Guatemala, Peru. They were from all over. Um,
mhm,
Europe, different countries in Europe, some countries in Africa. They were from all over. And so it was very, very interesting, but it also didn't take me away from my work that much because I just taught a couple of evenings and a couple of mornings a week. And yet I had a paycheck that would come in. Now, granted, it wasn't that much, but it was
right.
enough to cover my mortgage at the time.
Mm,
So what that did, because remember, I didn't have another income.
right.
Now, those of you who have another income, this isn't an issue for you, right? But I have to say, I'm happy I didn't have another income. You know why? Because I was, as we say in the South, I was hungry, hungry, and so were those 4 rescue animals. And it was up to me. It's that leadership principle. If it is to be, it's up to me.
Mm,
I was the one who got to make this happen or not. And so I know that that transition was difficult. However, I muted the blow a little bit by teaching part-time. And I loved the teaching so much that I actually continued it for several years
mm.
because I enjoyed it so much. And the other thing is a lot of the students that I taught became my clients in Reiki
Ah,
trainings, or they
okay.
became my clients for coaching, but more often for Reiki trainings. So it
Mm,
was interesting that there was a cross-pollination.
yeah, absolutely. Well, let's go there for a minute. What got you interested in Reiki?
Yeah. Oh, that's a great question. But let me make a point to your folks first on
Okay.
cross-pollination, because I think this
Okay.
is important. So here's a tip for you listening. When you're starting out or you're in the first few years of your business, if you don't have, a backup of money, for example,
Right.
give yourself a position that doesn't take a lot from you, but puts you in front of your targeted ideal clients.
Mm.
So, for example, get yourself a job at a business incubator if you're a burgeoning business coach, or if you are someone who's a massage therapist, get yourself a position, some kind of position, administrative or whatever, at a chiropractor's office or an acupuncturist's office. Figure out who your ideal client is for your type of service or offering, and then cross pollinate by getting yourself a part-time or full-time job that doesn't task you, right? That you can leave
Mhm.
there when you leave there.
Yeah,
Leave there and
absolutely.
leave there, right? So
Right.
there's
Yeah.
there's a point for everybody, just a nugget. So how
Yeah.
did I get interested in Reiki? That's such a good question, Gloria. Actually, in 1992, I was the sixth car in a seven-car pileup on the
Mm.
highway. Somebody just decided to completely slow down and everybody hit. And I was out of town going to a conference, a poetry conference, and I was in a place where there was no median, right? There was about like this much extra space on
Mm.
each side. And I had double whiplash and I was in a lot of pain. And because I did not want to miss the conference, I'm serious, this was the only reason, I let the wife of one of my professors, who was a Reiki level 2 practitioner, do Reiki on me. And I can tell you that before that, I was completely skeptical. I had been offered Reiki multiple times and I got as far away as I could. It scared me, and I thought it was weird. And I jokingly say, but it is true. I even got in the end of a potluck line because somebody offered me Reiki. I was having like menstrual cramps and they offered me Reiki, and I went to the end of the potluck line. And anybody who knows me knows I love a good potluck. I am a good Southern girl, and potlucks are the thing. So I went to the end because I wanted to get away from them. So, the whole irony of it is that after that experience, she did Reiki on me for about 35 minutes and really just worked on my back and my neck, and then
Mhm.
my pain was gone. And I
Mm.
did not take another of those narcotic painkillers
Yeah,
again. I
that's
went
awesome.
home on the bus, Gloria. I went home on the bus. I had a friend with me. We both went home on the bus because my car had been totaled. I never saw it again. Never saw my
Mm.
car again, which was a virtually indestructible old Volvo 242 DL, right? And we went back, 242 DL, I think was it, the model. We went back to Chapel Hill and I went to church, was talking to a nutrition professor friend of mine, and I said, Sarah Sally, I just had this interesting experience with this thing called Rocky. I totally mispronounced it. Totally mispronounced it. And she said, "You mean Reiki?" And she said, "Actually, I'm studying Reiki this weekend and I need someone to work on."
Very
That's
good.
what that was. And within 3 months, I began studying, and I studied with a retired IBMer, Gloria, who had gotten off insulin. He was diabetic. He had gotten
Mm.
off all his insulin using Reiki. And that's before I think they had all the oral medications you can take now.
Mhm.
He had to give himself insulin shots, and
Wow.
he got off all of it using Reiki.
Mm. That's awesome. That's
Pretty amazing.
it is. It is. I love it. I've done it for a very long time, and I absolutely believe in the power of it. I was able to help my dog one time, even with it as well, who is not doing well. So it's a great thing. Um, let's go back a little bit because I would love to know when. So you'd said you talked about things that you wish you had done, like you wish you had invested in coaching.
Yeah.
What was the maybe like the tipping point of where things started to really start to gel in your business? And is there something maybe that you really attribute that to?
Well, I started out really just doing one-on-one work with people. It was Reiki and it was spiritual counseling work. That's how I started out.
Hmm.
And very quickly, by all of these courses I was taking and attending and the networking I was doing, someone said to me, you know what, you are awesome at marketing. You are really creative and you're awesome at marketing. Why don't you develop a creative marketing seminar and come and give it for us and we'll pay you.
Mm.
So that's how I started. I developed my first business seminar, which was creative marketing for small businesses. And I still have an iteration of that I am paid to give all over. I have also about 6 others now, as well as, I mean, I really have about 18 or 20 seminars now because I've been in business so long, and every year I create a new one. And so this is how I got started. And then it just went from there. And people hired me over and over because I was developing new seminars. And I was hired oftentimes through the Small Business Center Network because I had attended many of their free seminars paid for with tax money. And I was a golden child, you know, of the SBCs. So I could stand there and say, look, here's how I started. This is where I got much of my business education. This is where it all started. This is where you are, and you can make it happen too. And then I could give them lots of good edutaining information. So that's how I got started with the speaking. And the whole time I continue teaching Reiki. I still teach Reiki. And interestingly enough, back when COVID hit, I was in meditation and I asked, what can I offer that will be super helpful to people right now? Because people are so afraid and worried about their businesses, worried if they're going to survive the businesses, worried about their own survival, period.
Right.
What can I offer? And the answer I got was, it's time for you to do that mastermind coaching program you've been thinking about for 10 years. And literally, Gloria, I have a piece of paper where I wrote this down over 10 years ago. I mapped the
Mhm.
thing out. But because I was so busy speaking and I was doing big keynotes too with like 1,500 people, I was doing so much speaking and so much coaching and so much one-on-one work too. And I became a mom at age 40, and very soon, a few years later, needed to divorce about 5 years later. So I became a single mom. So I was busy, 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 busy. I am that kind of person who stays busy too. I will admit. But the point of it all is
Yeah.
that I did not get around to the mastermind until COVID hit and all the distractions were taken away. And literally on a Tuesday, I started doing Facebook Lives, and I ran a contest so somebody could win a spot. And I did Facebook Lives, and I had over 13 people enrolled by the following Tuesday.
Mm.
And we started.
Yeah. That's that's a great lesson right there. And there's a couple things I think is important is that when the time was right, that you did act and you got it going, because I had the same thing. I've been wanting to do a retreat for years, and I finally earlier this year the inspiration struck to do it, and I had the retreat three months later. So even though supposedly, experts will tell you, oh, you need 6 to 9 months to be able to, promote this thing and, and get people there. It's like, no, I wanted to do it, and I got it done. And that's what you did too. So I commend you for that.
Yes, I want to say something about that. You had a clear intention.
Hmm.
You knew you wanted to do the retreat. You set a timeline on it and you went for it.
Yeah.
And here's the thing that people don't get, and you'll laugh. Today I had, interestingly enough, I had someone I taught Reiki all the way through mastership. She even went through mastership, which is a 2-year program. She went through it twice. She
Wow.
finished about eight years ago. And she called me and said, I want to teach my first Reiki class. I'm ready. I've stopped working all these jobs I was working, and I really want to do it. And I really want to do it at the end of October. And I said, well, I don't want to rain on your parade. However, you will definitely want to come to a class, a training before, because you want to be absolutely ready. And here are some of the other things that you'll need to do. And I'm just looking at this timeline, and even me being a go-getter, this is a tight timeline. So
Right.
we actually figured out a way to have it happen. And I said, look, I'm going to have you come. You can be a teacher assistant. You will send the people to me. I'll do all the work. And you get to be there with your people. You get to come free. And really, what you had years ago is not the same as it is now. It's so much deeper. It's evolved. My way of teaching has evolved so much, and you'll get to be there with your peeps. And then what you do is you have them rave about their experience, and you enroll them for your first, you enroll their friends for your first Reiki level 1,
Mm, right.
you know. So, you also need to come back before you teach Reiki 2, so we can enroll them in Reiki 2. You can come back, you can come free again. So we came up with a arrangement that felt great to her and great to me. But it
Mhm.
used all the wisdom that I've learned in so many years, 30 years of teaching in 5 different countries, about how you can get these things together and how much time you need. And even that little bit, well, I'm still holding it with her. But
Mhm.
I said,
Yeah.
look, they got to text me by Wednesday, and somehow I'll get them in for the preliminary interview and we'll enroll them. Just have it happen.
Yeah.
Make it happen. She's a ski
Absolutely.
instructor and she's leaving in November. She'll be
Mm,
gone for
okay.
6 months. And I said, so, hey,
Mm,
you can't, this is your window of time. It's
mhm.
good to give yourself that deadline, folks, because when you have something like you have a place you're leaving for or another job you're going to do that's seasonal, guess what? You will, as we say here in the South, you'll pee or get off the pot.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Because if you want it badly enough, you'll find a way to make it happen.
You will. And how did you make yours happen? What was in your mind?
Well, it was a combination of things, and it's so blessed. I've got a lovely friend who's also putting together a retreat, and I was just, we talked about the importance of visualizing, and which is really good, and having that because you do need to have the right mindset, and you have to get into action.
Yeah.
So you have to market it. So, I told her I did, I sent out emails, I posted on Facebook, I did speaking opportunities, I you know,
You
put a
called people.
put a picture up. I called people, I texted people, I emailed people, and I kept doing it, even right up until the end.
You were relentless.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, and I probably could have even done more. It, and for me though, it was good because, and the beauty of it is, I got wonderful testimonials out of it. So now I've got proof of concept. I know what works. I know what didn't work, and the next time around, it'll be so much easier to enroll people. I'm confident of that fact. So
Yes, you ran the beta. And
yeah, exactly.
that's the biggest step right there, is getting the
Mhm.
beta just starting.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, I always say to people, if you are analytical, right? If you're an analytical person, you want to think through every single step and you want to make sure it's all perfect before you get started. Well, that doesn't work. And so you need somebody like me. I'm a promoter and I'll say, no, that's BS. Stop. I want you to call the people you know who you love. And I want you to say you need to be there. And I'm giving you a special rate because I love you. And then enroll them. And that's it, because they already love you. You need to be there. I'm going to give you this special $100 off. And do you want to pay with a credit or a debit? And
I
notice
love that.
I didn't say, do you want to pay with a credit or a debit? I said, do you want to pay with a credit or a debit? My
Hmm.
intonation went down because why? I'm certain that they need to be there.
Yeah,
It's an act
absolutely.
of service.
That's true. And that's such an important point that I know I've had some folks on who talk about sales before, and it's still a good point to hammer home because it's one that I had to learn the hard way as well, is that so many people are they don't like the idea of sales, or they're afraid of it, afraid of rejection or whatnot. But if you do treat it like it is a service, you're doing someone a
It is.
service. They need, if they really truly need what you have to offer, you owe it to them to make the offer.
And
Well,
their life depends on it.
yeah,
And I'm
absolutely.
very serious about that. I
Mm,
have a story that I tell sometimes. I'll share it here, a quick version of it. And that is that years ago, and I was not relentless like I am now. I am relentless, which is why I call myself the kick-ass coach. I kick my own butt to be relentless, and I kick yours and make sure that you have your vision that you say you want actually happen. That you
mm,
have it happen and you don't get to the end of your life and say, wow, I wish I had done that business I thought about for 35 years. I
yeah.
don't want you getting to the end of your life like that. That's why I do what I do. That's why I call my coaching program the Make It Happen Mastermind Coaching Program, because we make it happen. Anyway, there was a woman who was a prominent um, head of a department at a very well-ranked research institution. Let me just put it that way. I won't name it, obviously. And she called me about Reiki. She had been referred to me by someone else who had taken Reiki with me. She was extremely stressed out. Of course, being the head of a department at a research institution of that stature is extremely, extremely stressful. You can
Oh,
easily
sure.
spend 70 hours a week or more. You know, the obligations that you have to teach, to serve on committees, to mentor people, to go and do presentations, to develop your scholarship and publish. There's so much you have to do to work with curriculum development. Oh my God, it never ends.
Yeah.
And she was very stressed out. And what ended up happening when we had that conversation is she said, well, I just can't do it right now. I don't have the time. I'm just so stressed out. And I did not, Gloria, I did not take a stand for her. I just kind of agreed. Oh, okay, I understand, because I did.
Yeah.
I understand, and I let it go. And I maybe called her and left a voicemail one other time, and that was it. I did not doggedly hold her to having that relief of stress. Well, then I found out some months after that, rather, that she had hung herself.
Oh no.
And
Oh
her
gosh.
11-year-old son had found her.
Oh.
Now, I share this story because I was not willing to take a stand for her. I was afraid, well, she might think I'm too pushy, or she may be irritated by me, or blah, blah, blah. I was just afraid for my own self, right? How
Right.
I looked.
Yeah.
And I didn't give a damn enough to take a stand for her, and I let her slip through the cracks. And so I would say to everyone listening, I hope you remember that story, because if you are not walking into that enrollment conversation, I don't like the word sales, the enrollment
Right.
conversation, certain, absolutely dead certain that that person is going to enroll and that you will help them, that you will get them from point A to point B, what they want, right? Then, then, you're basically letting them slip through the cracks, and their very life and the lives of their families, the lives of everyone they influence, depends on their success.
Yeah.
Obviously, it doesn't have to be as horrifying as that situation, but think of it this way. Kids watch mom slug it away in 3 jobs that she hates. She
Mm-hmm.
comes home, she's irritated, she's angry, she's no fun. And that's what they learn. Oh, I
Exactly.
need to slog it out in 2 or 3
Mm-hmm.
jobs I hate to make it
Yeah.
a living. On the other hand, mompreneur, woohoo, mompreneur starts her own business, works her butt off, gets a fantastic coach. I have 8, by the way.
Mm.
I am humble. You may think I'm arrogant. I'm not. I have 8 coaches because I will fail if I don't have them watching out for my blind spots.
Wow.
I've got all those coaches, and every dollar I've invested is totally worth it with them, because they have stopped me from running over my own dog, i.e. my business, many a time, right? So you get yourself the support and mentorship you need in place, so you're not going it alone like I tried to do in those first few years. You're not watching the bills pile up. You're not frustrated. You're not worrying, oh, is this going to work or not? Am I going to have to go back to that job I hate?
Yeah.
You're not waking up at night thinking, oh, I'm failing. I'm going to be a failure. This isn't going to work. We've all had those conversations. Well, the antidote to that is you get a mentor who is a coach, right?
Mm-hmm.
A coach who is where you want to be.
Yeah.
And you hire them, and you doggedly follow exactly what they're doing. You listen to your instructions, you're coachable, and you take action, as you pointed out. So you don't just sit there and visualize. Hoping and waiting and visualizing are not strategies for success on their own.
That's right. Exactly. Let me ask you a quick question, and I don't know if it's going to have a quick answer or not, but because I know we're
I haven't given you
long.
any quick answers today.
Yeah, but I want to follow up on this because I think because I've seen a lot of people talking on social media about kind of dissing coaches out there. Um, how do you find a coach who is at the level that you want to be at and is not just maybe, as they say, blowing smoke?
Yes. Yeah. There are questions you want to ask. And just a few are this. Okay. You obviously want to meet with them. They should have a complimentary session that they offer you, a get to know you session or something like that. Mine is actually called the Get Results Now session. And by the way, Gloria, your people who are listening can reach out to me at my website, which is right there, spirited, SPIRITED dash solutions, SOLUTIONS.com. And I will send them pre-work to do. So that's the other thing. A good coach, in my opinion, my bold and strong opinion, based on many years, over 20 years of coaching, is that they should give you preparatory work so that you walk in with a clear intent and purpose of that session. And so the session is not about, well, you're going to give me your money, Gloria. It's not about that. It's a session that you will walk away from, and hopefully you will enroll so we can continue working together. But you're going to walk away with at least one or two tools you will absolutely implement to get your business on its way and to grow your business if you already have one. So that's the first thing. I would say they need to offer you a complimentary short session. And I would look for someone who's really going to have you fill something out ahead of time, because then they've got a good coaching game going on. The second thing I would say, I'll just give you a few. The second thing is I would find out exactly how long they've been doing it. I would ask, what's your income? Guess what? I have a financial advisor. I asked her, I said, look, you know me, and I'm going to be direct. What's your what do they call it? Your net worth. What's your net worth? I want to know, because I want to know.
Yeah.
She told me. She was upfront, and I said, good, okay, that'll work for me, because a lot of people who are doing stuff like that don't have a lot of net worth. So you want to ask, what are they making? You want to ask for references of people who have been in their programs. You certainly want to see what kind of references they have on their website.
Yeah.
And what kind of Google reviews do they have as well? Though I have to admit, I've been kind of lazy about getting all those Google reviews. I have so many testimonials on my website, and I know I need to do that, but I've got to hire a VA who's going to take care of that. So you want to ask that. And I would say you also want to find out in their program, what are the outcomes that they are guaranteeing you? What are the outcomes they're promising? And what percentage of people get those outcomes? All right. Did everybody hear me? Ask them, what percentage get those outcomes? One of the reasons that I have a boutique, small, customized program with just maximum 11 women and me is because I want all my women to get the results. And so far, 98%, 98%, you all get the results. But when you look at these big programs that have 200, 300, 900 or more people in them, do you know what the percentage is? It's 3%, you all.
Oh my gosh.
3%
Wow.
on average that get the results. And they've paid mega bucks for these things with, I don't need to name the people.
Yeah.
I don't need to name the people, but they've paid, this customer or client has paid mega bucks, and only 3% on average in those big groups are going to get it. Well, in all integrity, I can't do the work I do and sleep at night and feel good about what I've created and how I've served the world if I'm taking a whole bunch of money from people and they're not getting the outcomes that they paid for. So you need to ask, what outcomes do they provide? And in my Make It Happen coaching program, what I always say is I help big-hearted entrepreneurs 10x or more their income and their impact fast. And usually within 3 months, usually they at least double, and many more than triple their income just in the first 3 months of the 12 months together. So they should be really upfront, and they should have references, and they should have tons of testimonials.
Very good. I appreciate you sharing that advice, because
Yeah.
it's so important to work with a coach. It's so important to have someone that you trust, that is going to, and that, is going to have your back, and you do have to vet them. And sometimes it isn't going to work out, but if you can take the time and do that research ahead of time, I think you're definitely going to save yourself probably a lot of time and money and be much more successful. Yeah.
Hey, let me tell you something wild. As far as I know, I'm the only crazy coach who does this. And let me tell you what it is. I give my people access to me by text, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., 7 days a week.
Oh my goodness.
7 days a week. And I thoroughly love it. So today I've had like probably there's at least 12 messages on there. Hey, I got a new client. Everybody's like, yay. Oh, would you sign up for this that I'm giving this presentation? Oh, my revenue generating activities. I always have them for accountability. They have to send those in every single day. They have to post them there. I'm the only one I know who does this and gives people access directly to me, not to a coach that I've hired.
Yeah.
And like, I'm going to go do this and I'll send you over here, sort of the
Yeah.
Queen Elizabeth, bless her heart, that wave
Yeah.
like that, off you go to the coach I've hired. You want to know how much access you have to the creator of the program. You know what I'm talking about, Gloria? The creator of the program, the author of the book.
Exactly.
Your book behind you. You
Yeah.
want to know, do you have access to that person? Or is that person hiring other people and they're just staying like kind of like the Wizard of Oz behind a screen and I don't know, eating Cheetos while they watch, Grey's Anatomy 500 times? Or are they there in the trenches with you? And I totally love this on text. It
Yeah.
keeps people going and it keeps them accountable and it creates momentum. And I'm the only one I know who does this.
Well, very good. And I think on that note, I think we're gonna call it a day.
Oh,
And
Gloria, can I give your people a freebie?
oh yeah, absolutely. Yes, 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 yes.
Like free? Ooh, I'm gonna do my free dance. Free is my favorite four-letter word. So you all, I have a complimentary ebook for all of Gloria's people. Just go to my website. It is How to Overcome Overwhelm in 7 Easy Steps. How to Overcome Overwhelm in 7 Easy Steps. It's perfect for those of you who are starting out in your businesses and you're like, oh my God, there's so much to juggle. And it's also perfect for those of you who are in business for a while and you're looking for ways to delegate out some things and free up your time for your revenue generating activities. So it's available at spirited-solutions.com, which I'm sure, Gloria, you'll put somewhere.
I will have that in the show notes. Yeah.
So you just go there. All you have to do is put in your first name and your email. And no, we do not send you messages every week or even every day or whatever these people do. You'll be lucky if you get 2 messages a month from me. And usually it's probably 1.
Well, very
And it will
good.
be something that's really cool that you want to come to, that you want to attend or read or whatever. It's not going to be a sales pitch. Like some people just never let up, do they?
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's true. And it's well, there's different schools of thought, and they figure, the more you do, the better chance you have, and it may work for them. But I like your approach, and I do like the idea of working with a small group, because I do think I do see. I mean, I saw just in, and I had a very small group at my retreat, but it was okay. The perfect people were there.
It was deep.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, to be able to forge connections with everyone, and it's so important because I'm sure they are all supporting each other in the mastermind, as well as, having you support them too.
Exactly. They become friends for life, even when people eventually leave, and most people will re-up for at least a couple of years. But when they eventually leave, what I love seeing is that on Facebook, everybody's still cheering them on and they're
Mhm.
still connecting and they're still doing business with each other too.
Yeah.
So when you forge that kind of group where there's just a deep bond and connection and support and cheerleading and promotion of each other, that just continues way beyond when you finish taking care of your tuition.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and in fact, I'm still good friends with a couple people from the mastermind I was in 6 years ago now. So yeah, and we've even still, even have seen each other socially as well, which is nice considering they don't live close by. So it works out nice.
Well, you're obviously a relationship person. And see, here's the thing is that relationships are what build businesses,
Mm,
not transactions.
that's right.
Never
Absolutely.
transactions.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much. You have been such a wonderful kick-ass guest. And I appreciate you so much. And I know our listeners and viewers have gotten a lot of value from you today. And as I said, I'll have all the links and everything in the show notes so you can take advantage of Barnsley's wonderful offers to help you out. And so I appreciate you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me, Gloria. And y'all don't forget, you can get the complimentary session, right?
That's
And
right.
call up Gloria too and get one from her. You have one too, right?
Absolutely. Oh, yes, absolutely.
And what
Yep.
we do is different. By the way, we are two different. We might be peas in a pod in some ways, but we are very different in our approach. And that's why I have 8 different coaches,
Yeah.
because each one of them has their own particular expertise. Mine happens to be creative marketing. I think yours is mindset, right?
Yeah.
Mindset hacks. So you need that team that has expertise in the areas that you need.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, because I've had speaking coaches as an example as well to help me with my speaking business. So yeah,
Got
you
a writing
definitely need a
coach
variety.
right now.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I've written books and articles, but I still have a writing coach
Hmm.
because I need it.
Yeah. Yeah. You're always, we're always learning. And that's the wonderful thing. And because we want to be able to stay ahead of our clients too, so that they will be able to learn and benefit from us because we're doing that work ahead of time.
Gloria, I'm glad you said that. That's another thing they need to ask when they're interviewing a coach. They need to ask, what kind of professional development do you do? How many
Mm.
coaches do you have? How much do you invest in professional development every year? I
Mm.
invest over 25K in professional development. And
Mm.
why? Because otherwise I'm not going to be cutting edge and valuable to my clients.
Right.
So you want
Exactly.
to ask them those questions as well. Yeah, that's a great point.
Mm.
Love that.
All right. Well, I think well, we're going to just
We
go
could
on
do
and on and
that.
on.
We
I
may
know.
let's do it. We can do another one in some months. How about that?
Exactly. Yes. I think we'll definitely have to do that. Well, thank you again for being here. I appreciate all of those of you out there listening and watching. And until next time, as always, I encourage you to go out and live fully, love deeply, and engage authentically.